This is how to crochet a sunflower square. I came up with this one myself last night and I'm so excited to share it with you. But to start, I have 5 chains and I'm going to make a ring out of those 5 chains by slip stitching into the first, and then that hole you see there in the center, that's what we're working into. I'm going to chain 2 and then I'm going to add 12 double crochet into that center, and I'm not counting the chain 2 there as a stitch. This is going to be the quick version. I'll do the extended version afterwards for those who want to see the rows worked in their entirety. At the end of the 12th double crochet, I'm going to slip stitch on top of the first double crochet, not on top of the chain 2, and then I'm going to pick up my second color, chain 2 again, and then I'm going to add puff stitches into every single stitch around, and they're going to be separated by 2 chains. For this, I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, and pull up a loop 5 times before I yarn over and pull through all the loops on my hook. This is the thicker version of a puff stitch. You can also just do 3, but I prefer 5. It looks nicer. One tip for puff stitches is to pinch the bottom of your loops and then push the hook up so that when you yarn over and pull the yarn through all the loops, the hook doesn't get stuck on any of the many loops. So here I'm going to chain 2, add the rest of my puff stitches, and then I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first puff stitch, pick up my new color, and chain 3. Now for this round, I'm going to add a cluster of 5 treble crochet into the same space. So this time I'm working in between the puff stitches, or those chain spaces, and I'm going to yarn over twice, insert my hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 twice, and then I'm going to do that 4 more times before I yarn over and pull through all 5 loops on my hook. And that's going to give me a nice little flower petal. And then in between each of those treble crochet clusters, I'm going to chain 3 so that our circle stays flat and doesn't start to curl in. And I'm going to repeat that treble crochet cluster in between each puff stitch in that little chain space all the way around. I should have 12 puff stitches and then 12 clusters or flower petals at the end of every row. And I don't like how that last one looked, so I'm going to redo it. And then we'll move on to turning the circle into a square. And yes, I'm a tiny bit of a perfectionist, if you can't tell. Even while making this, I am thinking of ways that I can still improve it. This is still a very preliminary little design, but I'm really excited about it, so I wanted to share it. And then this is where we chain 2 more and go all the way around, and then slip stitch on the top of the cluster, and then with the new color I'm going to slip stitch into the first gap, then I'm going to chain 3, and I'm not going to count it as a stitch. I'm going to add, there, I need to yarn over twice. I'm going to add 4 treble crochet into that one gap, and then I'm going to chain 1 and add 4 more treble crochet into the same gap, and that'll be my first corner piece. If you're familiar with granny squares, corner pieces usually have a set of 3 or 4 stitches separated by 1 to 2 chains, and then side pieces are just the 3 or 4 stitches with 1 chain or no chains in between. So for the corner piece, it's going to be 4 treble crochet and 1 chain, and then 4 more treble crochet, and then for the side pieces, it's going to be 4 double crochet into the next 2 gaps, and they're going to be separated by 1 chain. And again, if this is confusing to you, I am going to have an extended version of it, just like I do for all my other tutorials. But I know that not everyone is at a beginner level and might appreciate a quick version, or a quick refresher if you don't want to watch all of it. But here I'm adding the 4 double crochet, and then I'm going to repeat that all the way around with corners and 2 side pieces, and then that's it. This is the extended version on how to crochet a sunflower square part 1. For this, I'm going to start with 5 chains, 3, 4, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that first chain, just like that, and then I'll show you what the center gap looks like. So it's this one right there, and that's where we're going to add our stitches. So I'm going to add 2 chains for my turning chain, and then I'm going to add 12 double crochet into the center of that ring. So normally the turning chain does count as a stitch for the double crochet, but in this case I prefer not to. Sometimes when you slip stitch on top of the first stitch at the end of the round, the turning chain can create a gap if you count it as a stitch, or there can be a gap between the first and the last stitch. And I found that the best way to hide that gap is to add a chain 2 for the turning chain, and then slip stitch on top of the first actual double crochet and just disregard the turning chain completely. And then that turning chain is going to fill that gap nice and pretty, and no one's going to know. I mean, how would they know? And I know I'm copying somebody else's audio, but I did it for fun. So I'm just going to go through and count my stitches to double check I have 12. And then I'm going to slip stitch on top of that first double crochet, and then I will see you in part 2. I'll see you in part 2. This is how to crochet a sunflower square part 2. So for round 2, I'm using an orange color, and I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to add a puff stitch into every stitch around until I have 12 puff stitches. To do that, I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into the stitch a total of 5 times, or until I have 11 loops on my hook. So this is the second time. And then this is 3, and then 4, and 5. Now my tip for getting the yarn through all the loops at once is to pinch the base with your middle finger and thumb, and then push the hook up. And that gives you that tension you need on your loops for the hook to glide through smoothly while minimizing the wiggle and just ensuring it doesn't get caught. I also recommend using a smooth hook, like one that has a rounded top with not a very pointy tip, or just pointy edges in general. Examples of a tapered or pointy hook would be a Susan Bates, or even some of the Knitter's Pride hooks. I can't speak for the too many specialized hooks. I'm mostly familiar with the most common ones you find in stores and online, but if you are more advanced, I recommend getting a hook for different purposes, and not just for looks. I mean, you can totally make it a third hobby, because we all know that crochet and buying yarn are 2 separate hobbies. You can add a third hobby and make buying hooks one of them, but at a minimum, if you're serious about crochet, I always think you need to have a rounded one, a ergonomic one, and a tapered one like the Susan Bates. I think Susan Bates are the only ones that are tapered in major stores anyway. And then if you still want to keep going, I mean, there's Tunisian hooks, there's bamboo hooks, there's or just wooden hooks in general, and then you have crow hooks, and then you have the ones with the fancy grip. The possibilities nowadays are endless when it comes to crochet hooks. My personal favorite are the Clover Armor hooks. That's the one I'm using in this video. I bought a whole set about 4 or 5 years ago, and they're still undefeated. Before that, my favorite was the Susan Bates, because the tapered tip really helps keep the yarn in place, but that tapered tip is going to work against you when you have a lot of loops on your hook that you're trying to get through, because it'll snag on everything. The moral of the story is that not all hooks are going to work the same for every single project. There's a different hook that's best for different projects. But if you enjoyed these kind of close-up stitch tutorials, be sure to like and follow. I post them almost every single day on my page. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I will see you in part 3, where we will work on the flower petals. Bye! This is how to crochet the sunflower square part 3. For this row, we're going to work on the flower petals, and they're going to be triple crochet clusters. So to start, I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm going to yarn over twice and insert my, well, I'm trying to weave in the ends. So I'm going to yarn over twice, and then I'm going to insert my hook in between the puff stitches. So I'm going to insert it right here at the base of my chain. Then I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, but I'm not going to finish. I'm going to yarn over twice again, insert my hook into the same spot, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, don't finish, yarn over twice, insert the hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm going to do it 5 times. Yarn over twice, insert the hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, still don't finish. And then we're going to yarn over twice, and then we're going to insert the hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you think we're going to finish, but we're not, because I don't like how the last one looks. So yarn over, pull through 2. See, I'm confusing myself now. But to finish, we're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on the stitch. I like to pinch the base of wherever I pull my yarn through with my middle finger and thumb, and that really helps when you're pulling yarn through a bunch of stitches. Now, you might get dizzy watching this, and I'm sorry if you do. If you guys want 8-minute videos of me doing this in real time, I absolutely can. But when I saw that it was 8 minutes long, I still wanted to show the whole row, or round, but 8 minutes was excessive. Plus my internet sucks, so it would take forever to upload. If you can get over the hand movements, though, it's kind of interesting to watch how the petals come together, because it starts to look like magic. At least to me it does. Then I was thinking that I could maybe do one of those, like, read Reddit stories, because some people told me I should do, like, audiobooks, and if you disagree, that's totally fine. I don't think I need to do audiobooks. Be cool, but But on those long videos where it's just like you're watching me crochet instead of me rambling, I thought maybe I could, like, find some Reddit stories or something and just read them for a little bit of entertainment. But let me know what you think on that, because I can totally do that. I would love to do that, even if I just, like, did, like, a long video and I talked in the most monotonous voice. I think I could put people to sleep. I know I put my kids to sleep all the time that way, so. But if you like these kind of close-up stitch tutorials, be sure to like and follow. I post them almost every single day on my page. And if you have any questions about this stitch or another stitch, oh, I forgot to say, you separate the petals by 3 chains. Oh my goodness. See, I'm tired. It's late. 3 chains. I'll see you in part 4. Bye. This is how to crochet a sunflower square part 4. And we're going to turn the circle into a square. I've redone this voiceover too many times, so now I'm just going to keep it factual. And my voice may not have a lot of emotion to it at the moment, but it will get the point across. After slip stitching into the first gap, I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to yarn over twice for a triple crochet. And I'm going to make sure that I'm holding those yarn ends in place so that I can crochet around them and I don't have to weave them in later. But I'm going to add a total of 4 triple crochet into that gap. Then I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to add 4 more triple crochet into that same gap. Triple and treble crochet are the same thing, by the way. I'm using the term triple because the captions will pick up triple better than they will pick up treble. And every single time I say treble, I have to go in and correct the automatic captions from treble to treble. And yeah, if you've worked with a granny square before, this is going to be fairly easy for you, just because granny squares are worked the same way. This is technically a version of a granny square where you have a corner piece and then a side piece. So for our side pieces, we're going to add 4 double crochet into the next gap, and then 4 more double crochet into the gap after that. And then we're going to repeat the corner piece and 2 side pieces, the corner piece and 2 side pieces, until we have 4 corners and 4 sides of side pieces. And then you're going to slip stitch into the top of the first treble crochet. Don't worry about slip stitching into the top of the turning chain. It's 2 chains so that it can fill in the gap and make it less noticeable. It doesn't count as a stitch. If you want to move on with your life and go do something else, that's okay. If you want to watch the rest of the video, it's at 2x speed, so it's going to be slightly faster. And I'm just going to ramble for the rest of this video because making these videos is cheaper than therapy. I'm not going to make you listen to me ramble, so if you want to watch something else, that's okay. I won't be upset. But fun fact, the more I laugh at the beginning of my video when I go, this is, the more often I've redone the voiceover, and I'm laughing to keep myself from crying. This time, I've removed emotion as much as I can because I'm just, this video is 4.5 minutes. I'm not used to doing voiceovers for this long, so I've had to redo it a couple times, and each time it's because I get distracted by something. Maybe it's my hand movements. I thought it was hard to crochet and talk, and if you've watched my lives, I have no problem crocheting and talking. It's watching myself crochet and trying to talk that gets me. I don't know why. And these 4-minute videos, I had this, so earlier this video was at a little less than 3 minutes because I had it at 5x speed, and I literally got nauseous watching myself crochet that fast. It was that bad. But I'm sorry if I bore you. Actually, I'm not. I mean, I gave you fair warning. I said I was going to ramble. And I gave you permission to just watch something else. Heck, if you want to just not listen to me ramble, you can just mute the video and watch the rest. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. It makes me feel better about myself, so I'm going to just keep doing it. And no, I'm not going to delete this voiceover and start over again. I'm almost at the end. I can do this. I can be brave. I can be weird on the internet, right? Like, I hardly ever show my face. I probably need to take my face off that profile picture so that, like, people don't know it's me. Like, who am I kidding, everybody? I talk about my TikTok videos sometimes. Like, I wait until people bring them up. I don't just, like, walk in and be like, hey, yeah, I make TikTok videos. Because that's weird. If you do that, I'm sorry, you're weird. But it's okay, we all are. But sometimes, like, people bring it up, and then I'm like, yes, you've opened the gates. I can talk about it now. And then I talk about it. Like, yeah, I really enjoy it. But here I'm slip stitching into the first stitch, and then this is the square. There you go. Have a good day. This is how to crochet a sunflower square, part 5. I didn't include this in the quick version, but I wanted to show you, in case you wanted to know, how to add a single crochet border to the square so that it makes it easier to attach the square to other squares. This is going to be fairly simple. I started with a chain 1 for the turning chain, and now I'm adding 1 single crochet into every single stitch all the way around, and I'm putting 3 single crochet into every corner. So whenever you're working like a border, you need at least 2 stitches in the corner, and they essentially cover I'm trying to think of how to explain this. When you add a border, you're adding stitches to the corners. So by putting 2 stitches into each corner, you're adding 1 stitch for each side. But if you want to make a sharp corner, you add a 3rd single crochet, and the one that's in the middle is going to give you the kind of like the pointed corner. I really hope that makes sense, but it keeps you from having rounded corners. Now, rounded corners have their purpose, but I wanted sharp corners in this, so I did 3, but 2 is totally fine. But when you do 1, it really rounds the corner. Also has a purpose, but I don't like to do it. And if you were to add more than just 1 row of single crochet, you would end up with a tube. It would start to curl up or turn up. And the only way to keep your square flat is by adding at least 2 stitches into every corner. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed all the comments I've gotten on it. They've been very sweet. And yeah, happy hooking. Oh, and if you like these kind of close-ups of tutorials, be sure to like and follow. Thank you.